Yes, guys, what is going on? Welcome to episode 1 of the MLS Road to Glory. Didn't think this series would have been possible a few months ago until Sorare announced the MLS is going to have its own comp on the game. And yeah, it's as soon as that happened, a light bulb moment happened for me, and I was like, you know what? I need to make MLS Road to Glory. Like, there's just no way in the world that I can't do that. Even though I'm doing another Road to Glory on the series, and that'll continue until Challenger ends, until the European season ends. And then this will take over, as soon as the summer kicks in. And yeah, I'm honestly over the moon to say that we're going to be starting an MLS Road to Glory. Of course, we're going to be playing at limited. I haven't really set out a max budget, if I'm being honest. It's more so, I've spent X already. We might continue to spend more if we have injuries, if we need, gaps to fill in the gallery over the coming weeks and months. And yeah, I just wanted to make a series that was quite relatable, to be honest. Like, I didn't want to start with a stupid budget because not everyone has a stupid budget to work with. And yeah, I want to see what I can do. I want to test my MLS knowledge, along the way. And I've already brought in, we've got 6 cards. I'm just looking at them on the spreadsheet there. We've got 6 cards ready to go for this upcoming weekend, which is, game week 1 of the MLS, which is game week 56, technically, on Sorare. I will be giving away an MLS card in the comments of this video. So please do leave a like. Let me know your Sorare gallery name. Let me know if you're playing the MLS. And yeah, I'll get into everything that has been going on. I started buying these cards about seven days ago. And yeah, I'll explain my lineup building process, best matchups every week, in the MLS. And yeah, we've also got a couple of boxes to open as well, because we've bought a few cards from auction. So let's just get straight into things, lads. So I've made this fancy state-of-the-art Google Sheet. Only joking. Very, very basic to track, the amount we've paid for cards, and then, how much essence we win, for example, and how much cash, because those are the 2 things that we're going to be concentrating on, because we are going to be playing in season. You can play classic on Sorare, you can play in season. 2 different types of competitions. Classic competitions mean you can't really win any cash in those comps. You can just win more cards, whereas in season you can win cash. And you can win essence as well, which you can use to craft cards. And yeah, this is, how the team, how the lineup-ish is going to look. Of course, you only need 5 cards. We've got 6 for now, and I'll explain to you thinking behind why I've bought, the players I have for 1, and 2, why I've bought more than 5 players. But yeah, the first 2 that I brought in was Cole Bassett and Rafael Navarro from the Colorado Rapids. I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg, like I mentioned already. I'm just looking at some of the auction prices now. I haven't tracked his price since I bought him. So what did I buy him for? £13 6 days ago. And he's, roughly, 17 minutes ago, he basically went for the exact same amount. But he did dip a little bit here 6 hours ago. So I think Sorare have ramped up the auctions, because some of the prices are astronomical, as you'll know if you are playing Sorare, if you are playing MLS and buying in season cards. But yeah, Cole Bassett, really solid player. He got an injury towards the end of the season, so there wasn't too much, or last season, so there wasn't too much to look at as far as scores go. But if you scroll back, he's a good scorer. Like, he can do this type of thing. Now, of course, buying historical scores, like past scores, isn't always the best idea, because things change. Football changes very, very rapidly, especially in the MLS. Things change a lot, as far as team dynamics, managers, style of play, formations, everything and anything can kind of change the dynamic of how good a player can score from year to year. And yeah, I'm not saying, Cole Bassett is definitely going to do the exact same scores as he has here, but I'd fancy him to, be in that realm. Like, I don't think he'll be far off it. They played last night, actually, in the, I think it's CONCACAF Cup or something, against LAFC, and they beat him 2-1. He didn't really score too well. And so did Navarro. Navarro's the number 9 for Colorado. One of the main reasons why I bought him, to be honest, is one, like, he's not an unbelievable scorer. As you can see, there's a couple of nice, green scores here, but it doesn't happen every game. He went on a little hot streak here. This was last season. But like, the good thing about him is he's like very rarely rotated out, and that's one of the big things that you have to contend with on Sorare. Like, if Navarro's fit, he plays. That's just kind of the benefit of having a player like him. I paid 16 quid for him. He's selling for roughly the same right now. Someone instant bought him for nearly 20 earlier. But yeah, he's just a solid number 9. He does get a few tackles and stuff, and he is sort of double capable. Like, he can get tackles, he can win duels, and that's not the reason why I bought him. Like, I'm buying a forward to score goals for me and get me assists. That's the reason why I'm doing that. And yeah, you might be thinking, well, you're missing the best Colorado player in Jordi Mihailovic, which I would agree with you. Yeah, I am. I'm definitely missing him. He's a bit too expensive for me right now. I don't know if I want to sort of sink that sort of funds into him and the series. So I've kind of taken a more reserved approach with just the type of player I've bought. Like, I haven't bought upper echelon star rares. I've bought probably, tier 2s. You could argue Cole Bassett, Luna could be tier 1s on a good day. Moranchuk is probably a tier 1. Well, he probably definitely is actually, but he's a classic card, and I'll get into all that. I then bought Diego Luna. I'm a massive fan of Luna. I think this is going to be the season that he really breaks out. Like, he probably, you could argue he broke out last year with these type of scores. Don't get me wrong. But I think we're going to see like the best version of Diego Luna next year. He plays for RSL, Real Salt Lake. He should be taking some set pieces, if not all of them. I think he has got a bit of a I think he broke his nose, actually. So I don't know if he's going to start the first game. And that was part of the reason why I brought in Moranchuk for the first game of the season. Because, I don't think I'll be able to use Luna. He might come off the bench, but that's probably not good enough for me to get the scores that I really want. But for like a long-term over-the-season play, I'm all in on Diego Luna. I love him to bits. And then we got a little defensive stack. Now, as you'll probably know, MLS goalkeepers are worth a stupid amount of money right now. Like crazy. In limited, in rare, in any scarcity, it feels like. And even the cheaper ones, like Sean Johnson, like I think he's probably on paper the cheapest option. I paid £22 for him. I didn't buy him from auction. I bought him from just a different account, or another user. He's selling for a little bit more. Someone instant bought him for 30 quid actually a few hours ago. So yeah, the MLS sort of FOMO is kicking in a little bit. It's Wednesday while I'm filming this. Lineups will be locked in on Friday. And yeah, it was one of them where like I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg, as I've already mentioned. And I think there's like a weirdly fun, I don't know whether it's fun, but I think there's an upside in having like goalkeepers that don't play on great teams in the MLS. Now, the MLS, if you don't really know, like there's not much different between like the best team, like ranked number 1 and ranked 30. There's 30 teams this season. Like everyone's kind of in the same boat, more or less. There's obviously exceptions, like Inter Miami, for example. Messi's running the MLS right now, so he kind of get to do what he wants, and they're wangling through player wages and whatever, right? Like there's ways around certain things, but ultimately there's salary caps. There's a certain amount of money that MLS teams can play with and use. So the restrictions on the league make sure that the league is quite even year to year. It's kind of an American thing. I think it happens in the NBA, like with drafts and stuff. It's a similar concept all the way through the American leagues. But yeah, it's one of them where like I kind of don't mind having a cheap enough keeper, or like a keeper that doesn't play on the best of teams, because you do get those peaks where they do just draw 0-0 away to New York Red Bulls, who were one of the best teams last year, but that does reap an 82. Those things can happen with goalies like this because they're going to face a ton of shots. And I'm not saying every game he's going to save every one of them, because clearly he's not. Clearly he's not going to. But you will get those peaks now and again. Away from home, at home, you fancy any goalkeeper at home in the MLS. Home advantage is huge. But it's one of them where, like, I know I'm not going to win every week, but I think in the weeks where we do get the clean sheet for Toronto, there could be some really nice dark green scores, specifically for our goalkeeper and hopefully for our defender to go with him, Richie Larea. Played in the Premier League, I think, for Forest. So, like, he's a decent player. Toronto in themselves aren't a great team on paper. Like, Insigne looks to be bombed out, like their best player. He's like refusing to play and whatever. So, I don't think... Did he actually play in the Prem? I don't think he did he? Maybe he didn't. I mean, he was with Forest for a bit. Let's just cut him some slack. But, like, this was him playing for the Vancouver Whitecaps. No, sorry, that was at Toronto. We can't go as far back as Vancouver, I don't think. But, he's just a very good fullback. And again, that's not going to mean he's going to get amazing scores every week, because that's just, the nature of the MLS is there's just goals all the time, But for £4, I couldn't say no. And as you can see, there's a nice little notification at the top of the boxes for us. Sorry, I couldn't get my words out there. But basically, we've got 4 boxes to open. There could be 4 cards in here. There could be 4 Messis, thanks to the cards that we bought from auction. So we bought the Larea, Luna, Bassett, and Navarro all from auction. I might have bought the Larea from Instant Buy, but it's the same thing. Like, you get a box, it could contain essence, it could contain a card. I think it's 5% chance of a card. And then I brought in Aleski Moranchuk. Like I said, I won't be able to use Luna this weekend, so Moranchuk is going to be that classic smasher for us. Now, what does that mean? Basically, in the in-season comp, you can play or you have to play a minimum of 4 in-season cards, and you can play 1 classic card. Usually, classic cards are cheaper if you're new to the game and watching this. And so that's why I bought the classic Moranchuk, because if I go to Moranchuk and go to his new card, you will see that he is like £60, and I paid £6 for the classic. And you might be thinking, like, Why would you pay £60 for the in-season? Well, excuse me, you would pay £60 for the in-season card because there is a benefit to be playing 5 in-season card, and that is the MLS hot streak, which is the new. I mean, Sorare used to have this thing called a threshold, which was kind of easy to hit, and it was just like basically free money for a few years for a lot of people, and it was really easy to hit. They've brought it back somewhat now with this MLS hot streak, which I think is a really cool concept. If you hit 380 points first week, you'll win $3. Then you'll move over to the second target, which is 390. If you hit that, you'll win $10. So on and so forth until you can, on the 5th week, like if you keep hitting these week by week by week, by the 5th week, if you hit 450 points, you will win $100 on top of whatever you win in the leaderboards as well. But that only happens, like it says here, you must use 5 in-season cards. So, for example, this weekend, I wouldn't be eligible if I was to play Miranchuk. Like, I wouldn't be eligible to play for the hot streak. I would be playing in-season. It's like a double bubble thing. Like, if you have 5 in-season cards, not only are you playing for the leaderboard in-season, so I'll show you what that looks like. So we'll go play now. We'll go to game week 56. And then we'll go to the MLS. We'll go discover new comps. So division battle, I'll get into what that means as well for the first week because that's really important. As you can see, 24-25 season, division battle, as it says, a minimum of 4 in-season cards to play in season, but to play for the hot streak as well, which is like baked in, you need to play 5 in-season cards. So you would just add team into here, and I could, play my cards. I need to change that to limited only. And yeah, so if I played, for example, this team, so the Toronto defensive stack, Aleski Miranchuk, Navarro, and Cole Bassett, that team would be eligible to play in season, as shown here, confirm lineup, and it allows me to pop it in, lineup set, but I wouldn't be eligible for, I can get rid of my rare team, I wouldn't be eligible for the hot streak, which is fine, because I've got Luna, so eventually I will be playing for that hot streak, maybe next week, we'll see, but the big thing about this week specifically, Sorare doing a division battle. It's basically a big Royal Rumble. There's only one division for this week, and as you can see, there is currently just under 2,100 players in season limited, which is where we're going to be playing. And yeah, this is the cash on offer. So top place will win $600, second $300, third $200, fourth and fifth will win $100. And the other thing that you get with that, if you come in the top 25%. You will get a fast pass, which basically means for week 2, you will be in Division 1. So in Limited, there's going to be 3 divisions, 1, 2, and 3. If you're in the top 25 after week 1 in the MLS, you will be in Division 1 for next week, which is really important because that is where the most amount of cash is won, or you can win the most amount of cash there. Then you'll have D2 and D3. You can work your way up. You can get promoted, of course, but it takes a lot more time. So it is very valuable to play the best team possible, in my opinion, this week for me. Like, if I want to try and get into that top 25%, I think I've got a better chance with, classic Aleski Miranchuk than Diego Luna that might come off the bench, if that makes sense. Although the upside of me playing Luna would be I could win that $3. But I don't think that $3 hot streak is worth it compared to... I might win that hot streak, but I still might not be in the top 25%, depending on how high scores are. And so, yeah, that's the big thing for me this week. I really just want to get into Division 1 for next week. That's the goal. And so it did add this other points target, which means if we just hit 300 points with the team that we're going to put out, so the 4 and 1, so Alessi Miranchuk and the 4 in-season cards, we're going to win 20 MLS Essence, which means we would be able to craft a MLS card. A tier 5 plus. Could be messy. It probably isn't. But you know what I'm saying. And so, yeah, that's kind of my strategy / my pickings explained. I've spent £80 just over that right now, and yeah, we're gonna see what happens week to week. Like I might buy a few cards for next week if I'm in Division 1 and I think I need maybe a new defender or maybe a new midfielder. Like, I'm not opposed to adding money into this. It's not so much like okay, I'm just spending £100 and we'll see how it goes, and I spend it all at once. Because I think it is important to have a cash balance on this game and be able to move in and out of cards, move in and out of players that might be playing well or not playing well, and kind of freshen things up or having the ability to freshen things up. I think is really important. So yeah, I'm not like dedicating an amount of money to this. I'm just going to track what I spend and see what I win. As simple as that can be. So I think it'd be a good time to get into these boxes. So we have 4 boxes. 95% chance of MLS Essence, but a 5% chance of a card. It would be incredible if we could hit a card in one of these 4. So we'll open these up now. We'll see where we end up with Essence, for example. Okay, so we do hit Essence for the first one. So 2 Essence. So we're 10% of the way to crafting a tier 5 plus. We get more Essence. Okay, so we're now 25%. We've got 5 Essence from the first 2 boxes. Give us a card. Go on. Ooh, 1 Essence. Okay, that puts us on 6. And then 2 more Essence. So that puts us on 8 Essence. And as you can see, it will say competitions, and the Essence, is full, full MLS Essence. Like, it's not being tampered with like Challenger or Champion Essence. It's purely MLS. So if I was to get 20 of that, I could craft an MLS card. So I'm going to put 8 in there for now, just to track that. Obviously, we're going to know that by going on Sorare, but because I do another Road to Glory in Limited, things can get a bit muddy with that. So I need to be careful with how that looks. Sorry. And yeah, I was going to tell you about the matchups and stuff this weekend before sort of submitting that, our lineups. But yeah, opening week, there's only one team, which is the Columbus Crew, at home to Chicago with a win percentage above 64. Now, one thing I will sort of let you know, if you might not know this, but you very well could know this if you watch the MLS. Like, the win percentages are never really above 60% for anyone. Obviously, Columbus Crew are this weekend because Chicago were pretty bad last year. They've got a new manager, Greg, the old the old USA manager. And I think he'll have him in a better shape. So I don't think that's necessarily like an incredibly bad game for Chicago. Like, I don't know whether it should be at 64%. Hey, but I'm not a bookie. Like, they know their stuff more than me when it comes to all this type of stuff. But like, Columbus lost Cucho, like their best player by a mile. So, those factors definitely come into play. But as you can see, everything else is below 60%. Atlanta at home to Montreal, it is a good matchup on paper. LAFC are at home to Minnesota. LA played yesterday, in the freezing cold in, where did they play? In Colorado. So, they'll have that to contend with. A lot of teams are playing tonight, actually. Like, Cincinnati play in the CONCACAF, I think it's, Cincinnati, Seattle play. There's a couple of teams that play. So yeah, there'll definitely be rotations this weekend, I think. So I'll have to look out for that. But yeah, having the home advantage in the MLS is massive. Like, I won't sort of disregard that. Like, it really is. And, a lot of our players aren't playing at home this opening weekend. Outside of Moranchuk, who is part of the second best matchup of the weekend. Like, he's our only one. So for me, he's captain capable this weekend. He's the one that I'm hoping could score 100 points, to be honest. Because yeah, Colorado play away, as do Toronto. And there could be some upside in that, like I mentioned, with a goalkeeper. Like, if Toronto could get a clean sheet away to DC, like, it's not out of the realm. It's opening day of the season in the MLS. Anything can happen, and I mean legitimately anything. So, yeah, but, most of the time, you'd rather be on the home side of things than the away, because there is just a home advantage with the amount of travel and stuff in the MLS. But yeah, I think you can expect big scores from Atlanta United, I think, in that home fixture. Columbus will probably score a couple on Chicago, if I'm just sort of guessing here. Inter Miami at home to New York. Inter Miami play tonight in Sporting Kansas City. So again, maybe some rotations. Who knows if Messi's even going to start? He probably will, but you just never know. Orlando at home to Philly. I do really like that. I do like the look of Orlando this year. They've got a couple of good players. They've retained most of their good players. They got rid of Facundo Torres, but they bought in Pasalic from Rijeka for like 5 mil. So whether or not he replaces him, I don't know as far as scores go. But they do have a few good players, and Philly are looking bad. Like, there is a couple of teams that aren't looking great. Seattle are probably, a fan favorite when it comes to like defensive stacks. Like, everyone's so high on the Fry, Reagan, and Yamar. This was like their last game last year in the playoffs. But yeah, Reagan, Fry's so expensive right now. Like, it's insane. So his limited card is £95. I don't know whether, you can just about see that. £95 for the in-season Fry. Insane. 38-year-old keeper. I'm not saying like he's not good, but MLS keepers are all so very fickle. Like, anyone, despite being at home, anyone is susceptible to conceding goals. Like, it's just the way it is. So yeah, but I do like that though. I think Seattle could do pretty well there. But again, they play tonight, so they'll have that to contend with. Nashville at home to the Revs. Revs have improved slightly, so I don't think that's an amazing game. DC, have they really improved? I wouldn't say so, but neither have Toronto really. So yeah, that could be. Hopefully that's 0-0 for my sake. You've got Houston Dynamo at home to Dallas. Dynamo have just signed Jack McGlynn, who I think is going to be a really good player for them. Portland Timbers at home to the Whitecaps. The Timbers have just brought in David da Costa. He doesn't have Portland cards yet, but they bought him from Lons to replace Evander, who's gone to Cincinnati, which is a massive loss for them. But equally, David da Costa could be pretty good, I think, in the MLS. And yeah, Cincinnati for me are the ones where I'm like, wow, like if that front three of Luca Oriano, who they're trying to give like a better contract to right now, because there is rumors that he might leave, him, Evander, and Kevin Denke, like, could be the best front three, I would say, in the MLS. On paper, I think it is. Whether that comes to fruition, on the field, who knows? Like, players don't click, and new teams and new teammates, whatever. Like, it's not always as straightforward as, like, they're the best three on paper, so that's going to happen in real life. But I do really, really like that front three. St. Louis have a couple of good players, Hartel being probably their best on paper. And then you've got all the the away teams there. So yeah, it's gonna be carnage. That's one thing I can guarantee in the MLS. There's always chaos and carnage, which is always fun. And yeah, I think it's probably time for us to input our lineup. I already did it, to be fair, didn't I? Sorry. So yeah, we are locked in already. Like I said, I could go with Diego Luna instead of Miranchuk and play for the hot streak. But this week, I don't really want to risk it. I want to hit my 300 points target to get me some 20 essence. So we're guaranteed to craft a tier 5 plus on top of the 8 we already have. And if we can get into the top 450 places, we'll be in the cash amount, which is a minimum $3. Do I think this team can do that? I don't think it's out the realm. Like, I know I've just banged on about how big home form is and home advantage is in MLS, but I think Miranchuk could get me 80 to 100 points on a good day. As my captain, that's worth 50% extra with the captaincy boost. And then it's okay, can Toronto get me a clean sheet? If they can, we're looking good. And then it's okay, can Cole Bassett and Navarro, get a double decisive for me, a goal and an assist, and we're off to the races at that point. Like that could be the three things that we need to really jump up the leaderboards and get ourselves into that top 25%, because that is the big thing this weekend. Winning, getting into that top 25% for the division battle is going to be huge, because you'll want to be in Division 1 as much as possible in this game. Now, I don't know whether you're thinking this, but it's come to my head, am I only ever going to play one lineup? And the answer to that is probably no. Like, I'd prefer to have more lineups than one. I think anyone with 3 or 2 lineups is in a better position than just having one. Depends on quality versus quantity. Like, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. Like, I'd rather have one really good lineup, and I'm not saying this is really good, but let's just say I'd rather have one good lineup than 3 very, very average lineups, honestly. If you want to stay in Division 1 and fight for the best prizes and stuff, there is other ways to play this game. Like, you can, top 30 win essence. So, like, from 25th to 30th, if you miss out on the cash, from 451st to 30%, like top 30%, sorry, it's so confusing that is, will win 5 essence. So, if you had 3 lineups in that type of realm, so from, you finish 500th, 600th, and, 620, let's say, then you would win 15 essence, which is, 3/4 of a tier 5 plus craft. And, that you don't necessarily maybe need the best lineups to do that, but we don't know how competitive the scoring is going to be yet. Like, we know there's some big scores in the MLS, and that won't change with your Messis and your Carlos Gills and Hartels. That won't change. There'll still be some massive scores, week to week. But the good thing is, like, with the MLS having its own competition now, like, all the defenders, barring like Alba and maybe Wagner, they're all kind of the same, really. Like, no, there's not that many good defenders in the league. And I'm not going to say there's not that many good goalies, because there is. Like, Kalina was amazing last year. Is he as amazing this year? Who knows? We need to sort of figure that out when they play first game and the first few games. But, like, goalies can do anything in this game in the MLS. Like, Sean Johnson can score 100, but he could also score 9 because they've just conceded 5. That is the variance, in the MLS, unfortunately. And for me, though, that's what makes it super fun, because it feels like anyone can win at any point. Even though it is always beneficial to have, your smasher midfielder, your smasher forward Messi, your Suarez in the extra position, like at home to Chicago. Like, those things will still reap rewards, because that's just the nature of the game and the quality of the player you're buying. But ultimately, I think the fact that MLS now is in its own sort of island league, I think it makes it super fun. And yeah, I'm just absolutely ecstatic for this first week. I really, really am. I think we've got half a decent chance. I don't think, we definitely don't have the best team, but that's fine, because I'm doing this on a budget, and I just want to show that, like, you can still have fun. You can still compete on a somewhat level, without spending an arm and a leg. That's kind of the goal of this series, to kind of show you that it is possible to play this game, have a ton of fun, because watching MLS games is a ton of fun, depending on where you are in the world, because time zones and stuff can make that quite restrictive. But yeah, I'm super excited for the weekend. I've blabbered on now for 26 minutes. Wow. I don't know whether every episode is going to be this long. Maybe it will be. Let me know if you want longer episodes. I'm definitely down for it. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you are excited for the start of this road to glory. And yeah, hopefully you play along with me as well in the comments. And I'm excited to see how you get on. So I really do appreciate it, lads. Leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, please. And I shall see you guys in the next episode.